Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. My name is Derek DeBerger, and with me is Sam Roth.
How are we doing, guys?
You know, I hope you don't throw stuff at us while we're doing this. We're gonna have some bad takes.
Whatever.
We're very strong-minded, so
today we are. Yeah.
Don't even try to throw stuff at us to change our mind, because it's not gonna work.
No.
Also, does Alabama suck? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Vandy the best team in the country? Maybe.
Is Cam Rising ever going to quit college athletics?
No. And don't let him.
But
don't let the dream die.
But
kid.
one person that did quit was Tony Bennett.
That's right, and we're going to talk about that in this week's episode. Plus, all the preseason polls for basketball are out, including our own. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that, and then we'll do our pick'ems at the end of the episode. Of course, we hope to see you in there. We hope you like the video. Hello, everybody. The third Saturday in October has passed, and it was not without bloodshed. That's right. We got some top 10 teams again falling.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with number 1.
Yeah.
Texas.
At home.
They're now, I think, number 5 in the AP poll.
Yeah.
Do you know,
right.
Is the first time since 2012 a team ranked number 1 in the AP poll has lost at home.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Do you know the last team?
2012 number 1 team.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama.
No.
Clemson.
No.
Florida.
No, that was too early for Clemson.
Florida State.
No.
I don't know.
It was Oregon.
Oh, okay.
They lost to Stanford.
Gotcha.
David Shaw's Stanford.
David Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Is that Mariota? Or Mario's after?
No, I think that was Mariota. I think that was early Mariota.
Ah, okay.
Like freshman year or something Mariota. Like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But Texas lost. They lost at home to Georgia. It was pretty handily too.
Yeah, it was.
They lost by 15.
Yeah, they did.
They got doubled up, 30-15. Interestingly enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the first time all year Georgia's looked like Georgia, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That sums up.
Texas, this was, when you look at it, we actually go back and look at their schedule. I mean, they played garbage teams. Do you know the best offense prior to Georgia that they played? Statistically, that is. Like, offensive efficiency.
I don't know who they played. South Carolina?
It's Mississippi State.
Ooh, that's a very bad team.
Which apparently they ranked 59th in offense efficiency.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they're just not very good. But
one thing I took away from this game, and I know you probably did too. Yeah. You know what I'm about to say.
Yeah, I do.
Is that if you throw water bottles on the field, you can get a call overturned.
God, I wish Louisville would have done that.
Man, turns out that if you have a pick six and they call defensive pass interference when it was such a horrific call.
It wasn't a pick six. He was down at the 9.
Fair enough.
But it was a very good interception.
It was a very good interception. And your student section decides to throw mass amounts of water bottles on the field. Mm-hmm. Turns out they overturn the call and they will give you the ball.
This is why I hate Tennessee fans. They started this. They're the ones that
really.
Yeah. It was Tennessee. It was Ole Miss at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bad call, and they just started hurling things at the Ole Miss sideline. Just that was the game where someone threw a golf ball at Lane Kiffin, and he caught it. Someone threw a mustard bottle, which, I mean, how do you even get that? Did they bring it in from the game?
It could be a condiment stand, you know.
Did they take a mustard bottle?
From the condiment stand, maybe.
Yeah, that's insane, though. Tennessee was the first school to do this. And now it's like it's a thing. People do it. People are like, oh, it's okay to do this. And, I mean, Kirby Smart, I mean, we're talking about it now,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart basically said, like, this is going to embolden every school that has a bad call go against them. They're just going to start throwing stuff on the field.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
this is a horrible precedent that they overturned the call. Mind you, right call in my opinion.
Yeah,
to overcall
the initial call of defensive pass interference,
terrible,
horrible
call. So like, were the fans right to be upset? Yes. Were the fans right to throw things on the field? No.
Here's what they should have done. They should have picked up the flag and then given the Texas a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct. That's what should have happened.
It would have.
You got to punish him.
But it would have been after the play, so it would have been like
it would have been Texas ball
at the 26, at the 24.
No, it's a 15-yard penalty. They
Yeah,
were at
from
the
the
9.
24.
You're right. No, you're right. I just doing my math wrong.
So
yeah, they should have
what
given
shoulda
Texas
happened.
the ball at the 24-yard line.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. But also, it's just like Kirby Smart even said that the refs try to steal the game from them.
Yeah.
Which honestly, off of that call, where it's like that's a monumental play, where it's like it's either a turnover or 15 yards going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no in between on that call, and so like it was an awful call, yes, but I mean, like, how do you go over and explain to Kirby Smart? Well, we decided to overturn the call minutes after because the students decided to hurl objects at us.
They gave Kirby Smart a different explanation, but I mean, let's be honest. It was the fans.
I mean, it definitely, the optics of it looked like it was the fans.
You're right. Even if it wasn't the fans, it feels like it was the fans.
Yeah, it definitely does.
And this is just, I mean, this is just going to keep happening.
Yeah.
It happened. And the thing is, so with the Tennessee Ole Miss game years ago, like, that happened. They just started, like, hurling things at the Tennessee sideline, which it was extremely unsafe. Like, they were just throwing everything they could. People were throwing beer bottles and beer cans.
Yeah.
Like, it was not safe. They had to basically move the entire Ole Miss sideline to midfield so people couldn't reach them. They gave, like, 2 unsportsmanlike conducts on Tennessee because of the fans. And then what Tennessee did was they took the entire lower bowl and kicked him out of the game. The entire lower bowl, they kicked him out of the game. And then, of course, everyone from the upper deck
went down to
came
lower.
down. And then when Tennessee lost that game, they started pelting Ole Miss when they went in the locker room. I mean, it was horrible. It was awful.
Wow.
And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, Tennessee deserves a special ire just because they were the ones that, like, they were the ones sick and twisted enough in the head to come up with, like, let's just throw golf balls and mustard bottles at them.
Well, it's also interesting. It's like, because now at a game, you will never see glass bottles at a game ever for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
You will also, whenever you get a beer of any sort or any beverage of any sort that is either a can or a plastic bottle, they will take the cap from you or they will crack it open. And the idea is that if you have a closed container of something, it can be used as an object to throw things. But if it's an empty bottle or something with liquid in it that doesn't have a lid on it, the idea is when you throw it, it will lose its volume.
Yeah. It also loses trajectory, probably.
Yeah, probably won't go as far either. You know, wind will have an effect too. All that. But yeah, you will not get a sealed container at a game ever.
Yeah.
And it's partly because of fans.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, it's a great win for Georgia. In all honesty, it's a huge win for Georgia.
It's a massive win. It almost nullifies that Alabama loss in a way.
I think it does completely, especially because Alabama's lost 2 games now.
Yeah. But does it make that loss worse? You know, it's like, it's one of those where
it does make the loss worse, but it's here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
It's the SEC. They're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be like, "Oh my God, you can't take any days off in this league." Versus if teams start, like, knocking each other off in the Big 12, they're just going to be like, "Well, it's just not that good a conference." You know, it drives me crazy, but I mean, we're already seeing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, great win for Georgia. So let's talk about it. Alabama, Tennessee.
Yeah.
3rd Saturday in October.
Yep. I'll remember that now.
I was not expecting that. Tennessee won.
Yeah, they did.
I thought Alabama was going to win this game. I think I picked Alabama to win this game.
Yeah. I forget who I picked. But yeah, Tennessee got a good win here. At home.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it 7-0 at halftime, Alabama?
It was something like that. I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, and so Tennessee owned the second half.
I got you.
Alabama, I mean, I don't know. Look, I do still think Kalen DeBoer is a really, really good coach. I think this shouldn't take away from that.
So I will say, as far as like Alabama legacy goes, Saban lost 2 games within his first 7 weeks in his first season at Alabama. But after that, he did not do that. So, I mean, like, you give DeBoer a benefit of the doubt first year, trying to establish what he wants within his program.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's like, it's Alabama. You did lose some pieces in, like, Caleb Downs to Ohio State, but you did keep your quarterback. You kept most of your offensive line. You look like you brought in some good recruits with, like, Ryan Williams and stuff along those lines. It is weird, though, that this Alabama team, what stood out to me was that unsportsmanlike penalty that he got called for at the end of the game. Was it the DB or defensive or wide receiver? It was the wide receiver, I think.
For Alabama?
Yeah, for Alabama, where the Tennessee DB was jawing after he didn't make a catch or whatever, and like taunting him basically. But they didn't see the taunt. They saw him shove the DB.
They only ever get the second thing.
Right.
It annoys me so much.
But and you can see on the sideline where he's like, he was saying whatever to me, and the coach is like, I don't care. But he didn't say it like that. But
yeah,
it's
probably use more colorful language.
It was very colorful.
I'm willing to give Kalen DeBoer the benefit of the doubt.
Oh yeah,
I am.
I think he's a good coach.
Yes, he has proved that he's a winner. Like, they're still going to have a winning season.
But that isn't the standard at Alabama, I'll say. A winning season.
So Saban's not your coach anymore. Lower the standard.
You're asking a lot from Crimson Tide fans.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, let's be realistic. Even if you have the highest of expectations, you have to be realistic. Because when a program is not realistic, regardless of how high those expectations are, that's when you set yourself back. Nebraska is still trying to claw out of the mess that they put themselves in because they weren't satisfied with 9 and 3 years. So they fired their guy to get better, and all they did was get so much worse.
Well, I mean, anytime you go through change, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I feel like you should go in with the expectation of that. It's very rare that a first-year head coach is going to come in and just bang.
Yeah, it's very rare.
But speaking of Nebraska and Indiana and a first-year coach, Kirk Cignetti.
Kirk Cignetti's like, bang.
He's bang, got it. A lot of people talking about this Nebraska-Indiana game were like, you got to take the points. 6.5 points for Nebraska. You got to bet the points. You got to bet the points for Nebraska. This is an easy one. Indiana's played nobody is what they said, which is, to be fair, accurate.
Yeah, who's Nebraska played?
A Colorado team, I guess.
Yeah, that's their best win, maybe.
Yeah. And Indiana went into a sold-out crowd and just put it on them. This game wasn't close from the start. I mean,
yeah, no.
What a statement.
That they just...
Indiana has gone from unranked to probably a favorite to make the playoff.
Their schedule's terrible, yeah.
I mean, they have above 50% chance, I think, now to make the playoff.
Yeah, their schedule is awful. And, Kurt Cignetti, look him up. All he does is win.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I mean, they've got a, they're guaranteed at this point to have a winning record.
Well, they have 7 wins, obviously.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it has taken no time at all. They have a winning record. They're destroying everyone they play. They beat Nebraska, which Nebraska's they're going to be fine this year.
Yeah.
But everyone, in the eyes of the national media, that's a huge win. Even if Nebraska is just fine this year. They're still a year away from that, Matt Rule jump.
3rd-year jump, yeah.
Yeah. And so they keep rolling. Curtis Rourke is out for their next game against Washington. I don't think it matters. I still think they're going to win that game. I don't think it matters at all. He could be out for longer than that. then it could potentially matter, but against Washington, I don't think it means anything.
We'll see what happens with Indiana. But, yeah.
Yeah. Other games, we got Miami, Louisville.
Yeah.
That was extremely high scoring.
It was very high scoring game.
It's we both picked Miami.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know about you, but in my mind, I was like, I know Louisville can win this game. I just don't think they will.
Right.
Miami took everything that Louisville was good at, and they abused them. Like, Louisville's pass defense has not been good all year. But the thing is, the reason their pass defense hasn't been good all year, it's because teams are isolating their linebackers and just picking on their linebackers over the middle of the field. Like, Louisville has a terrible linebacker group. And so that's where people are getting, like, these chunk, like, 15-yard plays, because they'll just get a guy, like, on a crossing route against a linebacker, and they'll just, like, take it 10 yards after the catch. Cam Ward picked apart Louisville's cornerbacks, which Louisville's cornerbacks have been good.
Yeah.
The secondary as a whole has not been good, but the corners have been good. And Cam Ward was like, I don't care. I'm gonna complete however many yards against you guys.
Well, it also was just like moments in the game where it was like 3rd and 19, and you're like, as a fan, you're like, all right, this is where we got them. Like, they made mistakes. They had a holding penalty or a false start, and they set them back, and it's like, it's 3rd and very long, and then you rush 3.
And he throws a touchdown.
And then there's no one open downfield, and he runs the ball for 21 yards.
Yeah,
and it's like
that. I think that was a mistake as far as scheme for Louisville, because Cam Ward, it doesn't matter what you do, he can beat you. The best chance you have is to run him out of the pocket. You can't do that with 3 rushers, and so that was just a scheme issue. I think Louisville's defensive coordinator has a very outdated scheme.
A lot of people on the message boards were wanting him to be fired.
Well, we're getting into fan stuff here because we're both Louisville fans.
Right, yeah, but yeah.
No,
sorry.
he like, the problem with the defensive coordinator is, like, every game it's like, okay, if they've got a dual threat quarterback, like that, we struggle with dual threat quarterbacks, and it's like, okay, but it's 2024. Every quarterback is a dual threat.
Right. It's the standard within college football.
So if you're saying that for every game, that's a problem with scheme. It's just outdated at that point. And so, yeah, Cam Ward was incredible that game, but the scheme that Louisville cooked up against him was not that good.
No.
But Auburn almost beat Missouri.
Yeah.
They got so close. Brady Cook came back for the second half and then beat them. And then Duke beat Florida State.
Yeah, Duke did beat Florida State.
Both of these games, that is the first time Missouri has ever beat Auburn.
Really?
And that is the first time Duke has ever beat Florida State.
Yep. How about that?
Yes. And Duke crept into our top 25 this week.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're 6-1.
Yeah.
I know their schedule's garbage.
It is garbage.
It has been terrible.
It is.
But they're 6-1.
They are 6-1 with Malik Murphy as their quarterback.
Yeah.
Former backup at Texas.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess Missouri's also like 5-1, but they also have not really been that impressive.
How about TCU getting a decent win over Utah? And now Utah's out again without Cam Rising for what seems like the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah, so it's just the 2nd year in a row, actually.
It feels like longer.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Utah. So before the game, at the beginning of the week, after we had filmed last week, so we kind of missed it. They announced Cam Rising was pretty much out for the year.
Oh.
Yeah, it was his knee this time. His knee on the opposite knee which he tore his ACL. Not his finger, which was already hurt, that kept him out of a couple of games, and also made him look terrible against Arizona State. And so, he hurt his knee. He's pretty much out for the year. Immediately, everyone's like, "Oh, he's eligible to apply for a waiver for an 8th year of college football if he wants," which is crazy. And so now they're stuck playing Isaac Wilson all year. Zach Wilson's little brother, which, Isaac Wilson has all the physical tools.
Mm-hmm.
He just hasn't really put it together. And so they only ended up scoring 7 points against TCU, which TCU is terrible. TCU's defense is terrible. It's so bad. It's awful. And then right after that game, their offensive coordinator stepped down.
Oh.
He's like, I'm not doing a good job. I'm stepping down. He might have been forced by Kyle Whittingham. I actually don't know the situation very intimately, but they're going to have a new play caller as well.
Oh, okay.
And so Utah, a school that I was like, which I still believe, I was like, if Cam Rising is healthy, they're going to go undefeated. And I still believe it.
But little did you know that he wasn't even healthy to start the season.
He was healthy to start the year. He got hurt in the middle of the year. He hurt his fingers.
Sounds like he's always hurt.
He does have a long history of getting hurt. What I didn't know, interestingly enough, he started his career at Texas.
No.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know he was like that high a recruit.
Oh.
Yeah, he redshirted 1 year at Texas, transferred to Utah after that first redshirt year.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's crazy. He transferred. He transferred before the one-time transfer rule, so he had to sit out when he transferred.
Oh, gotcha. See, that's how long he's been in college football.
Yep.
If that doesn't show his age, I don't know what.
If he's not going for his PhD already, I don't know what this man's doing.
He's not. He's a college football quarterback.
Yeah, but at this point, you should have 2 degrees, a master's, and you should have started your research already for your PhD.
He's not doing that.
I know, I'm kidding, but
you think Luke
my
McCormick,
God.
the 9th-year tight end for Miami?
No, I don't think he's started a PhD.
It may not be 9th year. It's probably like 7 or 8.
I think it's 8th. But I don't know. It's a crazy situation. It's an unfortunate situation. One of Utah's donors, he's a former player. I actually forgot his name. I think it's Jamal something.
Okay.
One of their big donors was like, we should stop putting together NIL packages for Cam Rising, and let's just move on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like they had such a long stretch of really good quarterback play.
Yeah.
Like they had Tyler Huntley. I can't remember who it was before Tyler Huntley, but they had someone that also went to the NFL.
Alex Smith.
No, that was way before.
Oh.
I mean like in a row.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was Cam Rising. Before that, it was Tyler Huntley. Before that, it was someone else. And they was really good quarterback play, all like back to back to back. But now Cam Rising all of a sudden just can't stay healthy, and the guys that they've gotten to replace them, Barnes was not good. I can't remember his name. Bryson Barnes, the pig farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't good. Nate Johnson ended up being a bust. He was a
Yeah.
4-star recruit, and he just wasn't good.
Rising, Huntley.
But, and it's like now they have Isaac Wilson, who physically is just he's everything you could want more physically, but like he hasn't he's not even close to putting it together, and now he's being thrown to the fire, and it's like, okay, you can go out and try to like get another quarterback. You can maybe stick with Isaac Wilson, or do you bring Cam Rising back and just hope he's healthy one more time?
Yeah.
Because it feels like that's your best option.
No, it's not. Because the best ability that any player can have is what?
Availability.
Is availability. And Cam Rising does not have that, and he has not had it for the last 2 years, 2.5 years, we could say at this point. Man is always getting hurt.
Okay, an ACL injury is a freak injury.
ACL, knee, fingers, this year alone.
Okay, but if you break it down, ACL kept him out an entire season, which it's it happens. It's whatever. It's unfortunate, but it happens. ACL is a freak injury. Fingers, that's not good. And then other knee, that's also not good. So really, what we're looking at here is like the finger and the knee. That's it. Because the ACL, that's not an injury-prone thing. That's just something that happens. You just tore your ACL. Like, that's a freak accident. Jacob tore his ACL. He's not injury-prone. And so I don't necessarily agree with this idea that he's injury prone. I just think that he has
The man
gotten
is
injured.
25 and is going for his 8th year in college. And you're telling me he's not injury prone? He took a 1-year redshirt at Texas. He's been at Utah since 2019. It's 2024, about to be 2025. Every single redshirt he has had since 2019 will be a medical redshirt.
No, COVID.
Whatever.
They gave him the free COVID year.
He shouldn't come back. Utah should move on.
I think that's the best option.
When is the last time he played a full season? Was 2022.
Yeah, and he was really, really good.
Yeah, he was really, really good 2 years ago. 2023, 2024, we're going to go into 2025. Are we going to live in the past and say this guy was really good when these freshmen who are now seniors on the team?
Boo-hoo. He was good, man.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, like
Teddy
mentally.
Bridgewater was good. Louisville just honor him. Should we have him come back and play quarterback? He's only 34, 33.
If he's eligible, yeah, he'd be incredible. Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God.
Teddy Bridgewater would be so good right now.
Are you really going to die on this hill?
Yes, because the NCAA is allowing it.
No.
I don't. If they're allowing it, I don't care. I don't care. And so, I'm not. He's not a bad quarterback now.
What are we gonna have at this point? Any Joe Schmo that could sling a rock is just gonna be allowed? Or we have 35-year-old punters? Or are we just gonna have 35-year-old QBs now?
No, if you look at it, he redshirted his freshman year. They made him sit out for the transfer year.
Right.
They don't count that at all. They used to not count that because it wasn't the one-time transfer rule yet. He got one medical redshirt last year.
Right.
And then he got the COVID year.
Right.
They allowed the COVID year, okay? You can't... The NCAA allowed it. So... And now he has the potential to redshirt again. I don't really have an issue with this. Just because of the COVID year.
Did you see where...
If the COVID year wasn't in existence, he would be done by now.
Did you see in the... speaking of red shirts, a little bit change the subject. Did you see where Jackson Arnold played his
Yes.
5th game for Oklahoma and burned his red shirt, even though he said he was going to red shirt?
Yeah.
And I bet you his agent is not happy.
I bet you he's not. I don't know. I don't have an issue with this. If the NCAA is allowing it, I don't care. I
care because I don't want 28-year-old quarterbacks in college.
The rule is if you play 2 seasons where you play less than half the year, half or less than half the year, then you can apply for a medical redshirt. That applies to him. I don't have an issue. The only reason that we're seeing so far in the future people playing is because of the COVID year. That's going to expire. I don't have a problem with this. Also, if you take away the COVID year, if you take away the one-time transfer rule that he had to sit, this would be him going into his 6th year of college football. It's not anywhere near as bad as 8.
It's a lot.
He's not guaranteed to come back. He hasn't made his mind up, and he hasn't been approved yet. So, I don't have an issue with this.
Okay, but I'm going to have to disagree. Utah should cut ties, move along.
I don't think they have a better option. Unless they can get like a really good quarterback in the portal. I don't think they have a better option. Anyway, the other games.
We still got more to talk about in games?
We'll just briefly mention them. Notre Dame beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech didn't have their starting quarterback. I did not know that going in.
Yeah, what's his name? Walker Hayes?
Haynes King. Haynes King. Yeah. They're completely different without him.
Yeah.
Notre Dame dominated that game. Michigan lost to Illinois. That's their 3rd loss of the year.
I need one more to hit my $10 bet on the 8.5 or under.
I think you're going to get it.
I know, right? I told you Michigan sucked this year. Top 10 rank. Them and Florida State are both going to finish the season unranked.
I didn't put Michigan in my top 10.
I'm saying the AP did, and I was my guess was Michigan.
Yeah, it's possible. But You know, a first-year Michigan coach hasn't beat Michigan State since like the 30s or 40s.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, UCF almost upset Iowa State, but Iowa State had a ferocious comeback, won that one.
Ferocious.
It was ferocious. And then I think that's it.
That's all the games that we have on our slate.
So let's do it. Let's talk about the news, the rest of the news. We have blood.
We have blood?
Yes, we have blood.
Oh, no.
Mike Houston, does that name sound familiar to you? I bet it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yep, he was ECU's head coach, but they have fired him after his 3-4 start to the season.
Okay.
It's interesting because he started 2-0, which everyone was like, wow, this is a surprising 2-0 start. This is impressive. I think ECU could do something this year. And then in practice leading up to their third game, their starting cornerback, who a lot of scouts were like, that's one of the best cornerbacks in the country.
Yeah.
That's like a lockdown corner at the American level. He got hurt. He's out for the year.
Ooh.
And ever since they have been 1-4.
Ooh.
I've mentioned this in the past. I think I'll continue to mention this. If you are firing a coach this early in the middle of the season, why didn't you fire him last year?
It is mid-season. So, I mean, like...
It's literally mid-season.
It's right at mid-season. So, I mean, if there was a time to start firing, it's right around this point. I'm not going to dog...
I disagree with that still.
I'm not going to dog a week 7, week 8 firing. Like, I'm not going to dog that, really.
I will. I think it's terrible timing. I think, in my opinion, when this happens, AD's got to go too. Because the AD doesn't know what they're doing.
I would disagree because it's going to get worse before it gets better, right? Is what they always say.
That's what they always say, but I don't know if it's always true.
Might as well get the worst over with.
Indiana.
Start earlier.
They didn't fire Tom Allen until after the year, and then they brought in Kurt Signetti. They're 7-0.
Yeah, it was a great hire.
Yeah.
I think it's more important to get the hire right than it is to fire a guy. If you know
Exactly. So why are you firing them in the middle of the season when there's still how many games they have left? 5 games left.
Because maybe honestly, might be a way to salvage the season and sneak out 3 more wins to become bowl eligible. If you see a trend and you don't think that trend is going to change, why not make a move to try and make the change happen to where at least the season is salvageable? Why all of a sudden fire a guy after you know, oh, we suck and we really, really, really suck, and so we're going to fire him now?
Because if you're firing him mid-season, you should have fired him last season.
I don't know necessarily.
I think the only time that I'm not against firing someone mid-season is when there's only 2 or 3 games left. Like 3 or fewer games, if you fire someone then, and it's to the point where it's like, yeah, there's enough of a sample size then.
But it's also one of those where it's like, I disagree because if there's 2 or 3 games left, the only way that would make sense is like if you're like 4 and like you're 4 and 6 and you need 2 more wins, you know, or you're at like that 4 or 5 win mark and you maybe want to try and get a win. But at that point, when you trust the coach that you hired to then try and make it to that point,
no, not if they've done poorly in their career. No, I think
they've done poorly in their career.
When you're firing someone, it's not about one season. It's about the long term. So why would you fire someone and be like, let's try to salvage and make a bowl game when their shutdown corner is out for the year? That's why they've started sucking. They can't stop anyone. Coach is not going to change that. I don't think some new energy surrounding an interim is going to all of a sudden get him to 6-6.
Is like where you lose a star player and you rely heavily on that one position where you're like, okay, cornerback, we can put this guy on an island. He doesn't need safety up over top. We can spread across the other side of the field, not worry about as much because he's got it locked down over there, right? When you have something like that and you lose a key guy like that, your scheme has to change dramatically.
Who's to say it didn't change and they just don't have the personnel?
We don't know that. All I'm saying is like, I think it's unfair to say the AD has to go when you make a fire mid-season because if the team starts off 2-0 and then now they're 1-4 and the games have looked maybe bad or gotten even worse, who knows what the score lines are because we haven't really looked at this too much. All I'm trying to get at is that maybe there's a way to try and salvage the season.
But this isn't just about one season. This is about everything else. He's been there since 2019. 4-8, 3-6, 7-5, 8-5, 2-10.
Yeah, so maybe they.
Why didn't you fire him after last year? Because he got off to a real slow start, and then had 2 seasons where they went to a bowl game, and then 2-10.
Yeah.
Because clearly that's when they lost faith in him. And so why are you firing him now? I just think it's terrible on the AD.
Trying to salvage this one season. Is what my answer is. I understand what you're saying. It's not about one season, it's about the whole scope. And I agree with that. But at the same time, it's like, if you can find a way to not go 2-10 and maybe find a way to find someone on that staff that can find that 8-5. You don't even have to find that 8-5. You can find that 6-7 and you're happy. You know, go to a bowl game and lose. You just got to find a way to win 3 games this year.
I just don't think that they're going to. And I don't know. I just think it's a bad move. And I think sometimes, like, if you really have that little faith in a coach, then who's to say that their staff is incredible? I don't know. I might be looking into it. Fun fact, he won an FCS championship at James Madison, lost in the FCS championship at James Madison the next year, and then did pretty bad the year after that in comparison. And then he got replaced by Curt Cignetti, who was way better. Mm. Also, he probably had Curt Cignetti on his staff at that point.
Yep, there you go.
I think his success is because of Curt Cignetti. Anyway, that's my opinion on firings midseason.
Okay.
Do you have an opinion on retiring preseason?
Okay, I do have a take on this.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Tony Bennett, we're talking basketball. Tony Bennett, Virginia's head coach for men's basketball, has retired like 3 weeks before the season started.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's wild. He's only 55.
Yeah, he is.
Has won a national championship at Virginia.
Yeah.
Like, if you look in the grand scheme of things, Virginia, there's only 2 people that matter in the history of Virginia basketball.
That's
Ralph Sampson and Tony Bennett.
Yep. Checks out.
Yeah. Other than them, it's like a whatever program.
It really is.
And so the face of Virginia basketball, Tony Bennett, has now retired.
Mm-hmm.
He cited the state of the game as his reason why he left. So basically the NIL transfer portal. He said he's not the right guy for the job anymore.
Yep.
Ron Sanchez, the top assistant, who, interestingly enough, he was the head coach at Charlotte for like 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. Did a pretty good job there.
Right.
Left Charlotte a year ago to be the head assistant at Virginia, which is where he was at before he became Charlotte's head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So he's back. He's the interim head coach now.
Yeah.
It has been announced. So I don't know. Was this pre-planned? Who knows? I don't think it was pre-planned, but that's
I
definitely
think the timing of it gives the inclination that he decided to make this decision now, so that way one of his guys would then become the interim and have a chance at the head coaching job. That's my take on it. Because he doesn't like the current state of the game. Well, this state of this current game has been around for a couple of years now, and Tony Bennett has had a chance to watch it and do everything he wants with it, whether to be a part of it or not. And I don't think it took him this long to realize that he was not happy with this. Hell, Jay Wright's out of the game because of this.
Yeah.
Now Tony Bennett's out of the game because of this. Jay Wright left a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago.
He saw the writing on the wall. He was
Right.
like, I'm getting out of here.
And he's out. Now Tony Bennett's out because of the state of the game. And it's very unfortunate to see these very good coaches and programs do it. I do think the timing is solely because he wanted Ron Sanchez to have a shot. That's what I truly believe.
Maybe. I don't know. Because he's only the interim. They're going to give him this like year trial run.
Yeah, exactly. But
the thing is, Virginia wasn't expected to be that good. Like, a lot of people were projecting Virginia to not even make the tournament.
Right, and they barely snuck into the tournament when they really shouldn't have.
Yeah,
the
like-
first 4 in.
Yeah.
They got smoked by Colorado
State. They got destroyed
by like
them.
20 in the first 4 because they just didn't have an offense. They had a defense. They just didn't have an offense.
Yeah. Which that's the story of every
I truly believe
mediocre Virginia team.
I truly believe the issue with this is that coaches like Tony Bennett no longer exist in this game, and here's the reason: is that because of the transfer portal, I think is the main reason. Tony Bennett is a guy to coach up a guy for 4 years, and then once they get to that 4th year, they're good.
Yeah, he redshirted DeAndre Hunter,
Right.
who went number 4 in the NBA
right,
draft.
as a sophomore. Mind you. Also to mention, glad you brought up him. DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, all these guys, 4 years. These 2 guys, Ty Jerome.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Exactly. Kyle Guy, guys who were his leading backcourt for the national championship. 4-year seniors who stayed there all 4 years, built a culture, built them up, didn't even sniff playing time till their sophomore years. That is now not the way to win anymore. You can't win by having guys on the bench saying you're going to watch the guy in front of you for a year or 2. And guess what? I have you now. There's nowhere you can go. If you want playing time, guess what? You're going to have to wait. Now guess what? A kid who's growing impatient and doesn't like the fact that he's being coached and has to wait, guess what? Now he gets to go in the portal and find playing time elsewhere.
Look, it's a double-edged sword. I think that ultimately it's a good thing that kids don't commit to a place and then they're trapped.
Yeah.
But it obviously is an exercise in patience that a lot of people are failing. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want playing time now. And it's like, you might not be ready now.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of kids, it's like, oh, you want playing time now? The only places that'll take you now are teams that are going to win like 11 games in the WAC.
Yeah.
Like garbage teams that aren't even going to sniff the tournament. They're not even going to sniff the NIT because they're terrible. And that's the teams that you're going to play now. Like, you want to go ahead and play now and lose? Like, that's fine. That's your option if you want to. But some kids, I don't know. But again, it's a double-edged sword because I think there are a lot of situations where coaches, they used to get people through the door and then they'd pull the rug out under them. They'd be like, tricked you. You're here now. Sucks. And so the fact that that is gone, I think is a good thing. There needs to be some sort of regulation on the transfer portal and NIL. I think the transfer portal is worse in football than it is other sports. Like, it's bad in basketball, but it's not good in football.
Now, I don't think Tony Bennett was the type of guy to slip the rug out from other people.
No,
He
I don't
said,
think so.
You come here, I'm going to develop you. I see your talent. I see your ability. I see your potential. I don't think your ability is where it needs to be playing at the moment. But you work with me, you get in the gym, you try hard. I will give you a chance if you show it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the guys who survived and made it through that are guys that thrived and did well. We saw that with the national championship at the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For these guys. Now, that is no more. Because I want to say majority of people or majority of players now are in it for the short term, looking for NIL opportunities for money, as well as also looking for playing time.
With the money thing I get. It's
Right.
like, what is it, less than 2% of these people are going to the NBA?
Right.
Why not make money on basketball when you can?
Oh, I'm not arguing that at all.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that, but also where there's money, there's going to be playing time. Because who's going to pay a guy to ride pine? So,
I mean, I don't know. You might pay a guy with the intention to play, and then they get there and they're not good enough. It depends on the coach.
right.
Some coaches are beholden to like, oh, the highest paid players are paying, or highest paid players are playing.
Yeah.
God, that's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is.
And then some guys are like, I don't care. I'm going to play the best guys.
Also, it looks bad from a booster standpoint where you're like, I need 800,000, let's say, for this guy. He's got these offers. I need 800,000 boosters. I need this money for this guy to come here, right? You give him this money, and then the booster comes to you midway through the season and goes, why isn't he playing? Well, because the kid that we offered 50,000 to is better than the 800,000.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't look good from that standpoint either, because now not only are you playing coach where you're like you have to pay the best players who are on the field, but you're also playing GM where it's like it sucks when your 7th round draft pick is worse than your first round.
And that's why
pick.
some colleges are hiring GMs now. like Wojnarowski.
Yeah.
He literally left
Say
ESPN to
Bonaventura.
become. It's not Bonnie. It was St. Joe's. St.
It was
Joseph's.
Bonaventura.
No, he went to St. Joe's. It's his alma mater.
Oh.
Yeah, Woj is now.
No, Bonaventura.
Oh, I didn't know he went to St. Bonaventure.
Yes, Bonaventura.
Bonaventure.
Bonaventura. There's an A there. Can't you see
It's an E.
Can you see it's an A?
Bonaventure.
Bonaventura. A little something to it.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, a lot of teams and programs are hiring GMs right now, which I think is a great idea. But also, I mean this just dips into my what I've been standing on for a long time, which I think NIL is better spent on player retention than it is acquiring people in the portal and acquiring high school recruits. I think retention of roster is best, and I think we're seeing that with most sports. I actually don't know with baseball yet. It seems that the teams in baseball that just go out and get everyone in the portal that they can seem to do the best. Unfortunately, that's basically only the SEC because they are the ones that have all the NIL in baseball. But, no, Tony Bennett was not the type of guy to like. He wasn't like this type of guy to schmooze up with the donors. He wasn't.
He's a basketball coach.
Yeah.
He wants to develop guys, and then once they're good enough, he played them.
But also on top of that, Virginia did not help him one bit with the transfer portal.
Well, yeah, but it's also like you look at Virginia and you look at the conference that they're competing in. It's like there's so many more quote unquote bigger brands and programs.
You know what? That's a great transition because speaking of the conference that they're in, with Tony Bennett's retirement, this is now the first time since 1981 that the ACC has had 0 active head coaches with a national championship.
Yeah, because Duke and North Carolina just got new coaches a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. And Louisville wasn't in the conference yet.
And Louisville wasn't in the conference. Yeah, sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, like, it's... Tony Bennett is just... Honestly, I don't know how you become a new coach and do it. Because you...
I mean, if you have if you're becoming a new coach now, this is all you know.
Well, it's also like...
It's easier.
I don't think so.
It's easier from the standpoint of it's easier to start now and just stick with it than it was to know what it was like before and then see what it is now.
Well, you have nothing to build off year to year now in college sports.
Not necessarily.
In a way, you don't.
No, not necessarily.
You do not know out of the 12 to 15 guys on your roster, let alone the 10 that might be in your rotation from year in to year out, how many of them are going to stay with you. The only ones you know about is 1, if they're good enough to go pro, or 2, if they're about to graduate. You don't know who you're going to retain year in and year out.
Yeah, but coaches, the good programs, they're keeping tabs on their players right now. Like, take it to women's basketball. Jeff Walz has a good idea of who's going to transfer and who's not. Jeff Walz, Louisville's basketball coach, he has a very good idea of who's going to transfer and who's not. And so he's very rarely blindsided right now. Haley Van Lith was like the only guy only person who's blindsided him as far as transferring. And so if you're a good coach, if you have a GM in place, if you have a good player relations guy, then like you can have the ability to like, okay, we have a good idea of who's going to stay here and who's not. And then you can build from there. I don't think it's completely out the window. Plus, if you take the NIL that you have, however much it is, and put it towards player retention first and foremost, you're going to have an easier time retaining players. There's not going to be that same turnover. I think it does become harder. I don't think it's impossible to know what your roster is like 2 to 3 years. Like, I think just the timetable for building a roster becomes 2 to 3 seasons where it used to be 3 to 4 seasons.
It just gives everyone is on a 9-month contract. They're going to be with you for 9 months, and then after that, you don't know if you really have them. You don't know.
I think to a degree, yeah.
And so, all I'm saying is, like, once the end of March happens, once April happens, from then up until maybe September, you do not know who is going to be on your team. Because you either have to have very, very active conversations where it's like, we'll give you this amount, you agree to it, you're staying. But then again, it's like, what person in their right mind every single year would not test the open market to see what they're worth?
For some people, it's not about the money. It depends.
But then
For
again,
some people, it's all about playing time. For some people, it's about the college they go to. It's not all about the money for
I know
everyone.
it's not, but you just said that 2% of players go pro. Why wouldn't you try and go get the money while you still can?
Yeah.
So, from a coaching standpoint for Bennett, the game has truly flipped on his head from he knows he's got a guy for 4 years to now he knows he has him for less than a year. And he's got to rebuild a roster every single year. He's got to deal with agents now every single year.
I think saying less than a year is a little bit of a...
It's not.
No, it's a little bit of a manipulation of what it is. Because if you're saying you have people for 4 years, you got to say you have people for a year. This is just... I'm getting into semantics now.
Why?
Just because you can't say you have people for less than a year. The idea it's a year of college. So you have them for a year. Like, because you don't have them for full 4 years before. You have them for 4 years of college.
You have... My bad.
I was nitpicking. I was getting into semantics.
Right.
I don't know. That bothered me.
You have them for a degree worth of time to now you have them
For 2 semesters.
For 2 semesters.
3 if they enroll early.
Whatever.
I'm just saying. Some people enroll in the summer.
It doesn't matter about this stuff. All I'm trying to say is like Tony Bennett the game's completely been flipped on his head. He doesn't have the opportunity to know this guy is going to be on campus for that amount of year. The only time that he's going to leave is he's going to go pro. That is the only way that this guy leaves early.
You know, now that Tony Bennett's retired, all the Virginia players have 30 days to decide whether they want to enter their name in the portal or not.
Right. I don't think anyone's going to leave.
I don't think anyone will, too.
I think there's already like contracts signed and this is what it is. There's not too much of a culture
I just don't think
shift.
there's landing spots out there.
No, that too. Every roster's filled and everything along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what they can do this year.
Yeah, speaking of what they might be able to do, Virginia, after Tony Bennett's retirement, had a secret scrimmage against VCU. A scrimmage in which they lost 71-49.
Yeah.
I know it's literally right after Ron Sanchez has become their head coach, but my God, that is a bad, bad loss to VCU. VCU's, I think, expected to be pretty decent.
The A-10 is going to be good this year.
Yeah, VCU is expected to be decent in their conference. Like they could make the tournament.
It's not Dayton, and they're a good basketball school.
But I mean, that's still as an ACC school, you don't want to.
I personally don't hold too much stock into that.
I don't put the most stock into it because I mean, there's a lot of scrimmages happening right now, both
secret and not secret.
Yes.
Some televised like Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers, St. John's, because they're scrimmages.
Right.
Like you're still figuring stuff out.
Right.
But I put some stock into it, not everything, but some. And so when you get destroyed like this, I know that I saw a lot of Virginia fans were like, well, actually, we didn't have 5 of our top 5 players. It's like, okay, I don't believe you, but sure. Go ahead. Cope any way you want to. I just don't think they're going to make the tournament this year.
I'm jury's still out for me on that. I can't tell you anything until I see this team play. I'm not going to say this team is not going to make the tournament.
I thought they weren't going to make the tournament with Tony Bennett. And now with Ron Sanchez,
We'll see.
I'm really thinking they're not going to make the tournament. But staying on basketball, polls, baby. It's poll season.
It is.
Not in a, like sexual liberation type of way, but we have some top 25s and one top 30 for college basketball. That's right. We've been teasing it.
Yeah, we have.
Our top 30 for men's college basketball has come out, as well as the AP top 25 has come out, and Kim Pom has finally released his rankings for the preseason.
They have.
Which Kim Pom is, that's the gold standard for college basketball. There are other analytical services, such as Evan Miyakawa and Bart Torvik. I think Bart Torvik is the worst out of all of them, yet that's the one that the NCAA has decided to use as an official metric for the selection committee now, which is just use Kim Pom. Just use Kim Pom. What are you doing using Bart Torvik?
So glad I've got you on this Kim Pom train now.
But it's like... Anyway.
Preaching to the choir, man. I hear
Okay, so the number one in the AP is Kansas.
you. Yep.
They're not the consensus number one. It's pretty scattershot. Teams receiving number one votes are Kansas, Alabama, UConn, Houston,
Gonzaga
and I think that's it. So, yeah, Kansas is number one, Alabama's number two. Those are pretty much the consensus 1 and 2, kind of anywhere you go right now.
Not for me.
Our number one is Alabama.
Yep.
Number 2 is Kansas. Number 3 we have Gonzaga, which I don't hate that at all. I think Gonzaga is going to be very good this year.
Considering I had them, so the way we do it is we have 3 people who do it and then combined score.
We each have a ballot, if you will.
Yeah. In my ballot, I had Gonzaga 1.
Yeah. There was no consensus on the top team
No,
in
it
our
was
poll.
not.
It was spread amongst 3 teams. Kid Palm has Houston number 1. They've had Houston number 1 for like 3 years in a row.
If you think about it, it makes sense because they did lose Jamal Shed, but other than that, they didn't lose anything else. They did lose their best player, but LJ Crier's going to be back, Emmanuel Sharp's going to be back, Javier Francis is going to be back, and Jawar Roberts is going to be back as well. So their whole starting 4, other than their starting 1's back, and then they're also getting a top defender, and Milo Uzan from Oklahoma.
Milos Uzan.
Thank you. Point guard from Oklahoma. So I think that he'll slot in perfectly. Right
defensively, he's going to be great, but is he going to replace the offensive output that Jamal Shed had?
No,
and
I think,
is what made Houston so incredible last year.
Right, and I think their defense is what made them incredible. The fact that most teams can score more than 60 against
I mean, the thing is, they've had this incredible defense for years now.
Yeah.
The difference maker between Houston teams of the past and last year's Houston team was Jamal Shed's ability to initiate offense.
He was also probably, in my opinion, he was the defensive player of the year last year too. But I think LJ Cryer is going to make a big step. Already won a national championship at Baylor. And then you got Emmanuel Sharp as well as the 3, who I think those 2 is going to be your major offensive output.
Yeah. Speaking of Baylor, I think they are going to be phenomenal.
They can be very good.
Yeah. I think VJ Edgecombe is. Oh, I'm really high.
You're really high on a true freshman. It's interesting.
I know it's shocking, but I think VJ Edgecombe is the real deal.
He could be.
He was like the number 6 player, like recruit in the class,
5 or 6.
5 or 6. Yeah.
On which one you looked at.
He was top 10, but he wasn't as high as he wasn't up there with Cooper Flagg. I think he's incredible. I think he is incredible. I think he's going to be incredible. Gonzaga and Baylor play each other opening night. Do you know that?
No.
They play each other November 4th, the first day of the college basketball season.
I mean, it's interesting. They got also Norchad Omir as well as Jeremy Roach coming in too as big transfers.
You said Norchad Omir perfectly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm really high on Baylor. I think they're going to be really good. I thought they were going to be really good last year, but I think obviously we saw that there were some holes in that roster.
Yeah.
Anyway, interesting thing on Kim Pom is the gap between Houston and Duke, which are Kim Pom's number 1 and number 2 team, is pretty much the same gap as Duke and Iowa State, which Duke is the number 2 team. Iowa State is his number 7 team.
Mm.
So Ken Pom thinks Houston is going to be far and away the best team.
Well, I mean, you just look at the defensive rating where it's the number 1 is an 84.7, and then the second place team is an 86.6 in Iowa State. So, I mean, they're full 2 points ahead in defensive rating over anyone else, which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, and they're top 5 offensively preseason. So,
yeah,
we'll see. Kim Pom is usually pretty accurate. I will say he has Villanova 20, which I think is ridiculous. I think Villanova is going to miss the tournament again, and Kyle Neptune's going to get fired.
It's interesting.
But the thing is, The metrics loved Villanova last year, too. I think Villanova just sucked. I think Kyle Neptune's a terrible coach. Which is unfortunate because,
Good bit of Big East basketball coming back, which is always exciting, between UConn, Creighton, and then looks like, according to KenPom, is St. John's, Villanova, and then Marquette, with Xavier falling just into the top 30 there.
Big East it's a power conference in basketball.
Xavier should be pretty good this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, they should be. Mm-hmm. A lot of people thought they were going to be good last year, and then they had a pretty terrible year. Anyway, we'll go through the top 10 real quick of the AP poll, and then we'll do the top 10 of our poll. Okay. In order on the AP poll, it is Kansas, Alabama, UConn, Houston, Iowa State, Gonzaga, Duke, Baylor, North Carolina, and Arizona. That is their top 10. I don't get Arizona being that high. I had Arizona pretty low.
I mean, Caleb Love is coming back, as well as they're getting Trey Townsend from Oakland, that big power forward.
But
so, I mean,
the thing is, they lost Omar Ballo. They lost
Pele Larson.
They lost Kyron Boswell.
Right. Boswell went to Illinois.
Yeah.
So they did lose a bit. They did gain a little bit. I mean, they were like a bordering top 10 team right there. For me, it's even though they retained a lot, Iowa State has 4 returning starters. I just don't see the offensive output unless they're like Houston, where their defense is just so dominant. Because they retained 4 stars in Keyshawn Gilbert, Tam Lipsey, Curtis Jones, and Milan Makolikvic.
That guy is supposed. A lot of people think he's going to take a big step forward.
He could. He was their 3rd scorer. Their front court in Lipsey and Gilbert were really the charge of the team.
They brought in a transfer at center that a lot of people were really high on.
Joshua Jefferson?
I think so.
Yeah.
Could be wrong about that.
We'll see, honestly.
Yeah. Here is our top 10, the College Town podcast, the top 10 for the College Town podcast preseason top 30. In order: Alabama, Kansas, Gonzaga, Houston, UConn, Baylor, Duke, Iowa State, UNC, Auburn.
So the only difference that we have is Arizona and Auburn.
Yeah,
Auburn's in
at
our
least
top
as far
10.
as teams in the top 10. The order's shuffled a
Ours
little
is different, but as far as like the top 10 goes, we have Auburn, which is Janai Broom's coming back.
Janai Broom. They also got J.D. Pegues from Furman.
J.P. Pegues and Joe Mills Kelly.
Okay.
So there's that going on for them, as well as Chad Baker Mazzara is also coming back as a starter. So they do have a lot coming back. Also interesting is that we both have Purdue in the middling tiers.
Yeah.
Did they just lose a lot because Edie is gone? Even though Braden Smith is coming back.
No, I think it's all because of Edie.
Yeah.
I mean, Edie's a generational talent.
All right.
And losing him, it dropped them 13 spots. That sounds about right.
Okay.
Just because of one player leaving.
All right. What team that is not in the AP top 25 do you think is going to be up there that the committee AP missed out on?
Not in the AP top 25?
Not in the top 25.
Let's just go to their receiving votes. I mean, first, right out of the gate, I think Illinois. I think Illinois is going to be really good. I really, really like the transfers that they brought in. Will Riley's a 4-star freshman. He should be able to contribute. I think Illinois is going to be really good. St. John's, I think they could be pretty good. Wake Forest, I think Wake Forest is finally going to make the tournament this year after
Hunter Salas is back.
Hunter Salas, Tyler Johnson. I think they're going to be really good. Louisville. Let's talk about Louisville because basically we didn't get to all last basketball season.
Yeah.
They're in our top 30. They're ranked number 29, right behind Rutgers, right in front of St. Mary's. I mean, I really like this roster. I can see the way it fits together. Exhibitions have already started. Louisville had 2 exhibitions in the Bahamas. The actual outcome of the game doesn't really mean anything because they played one team that had a 13-year-old, and then they played one team from Canada. Although that team from Canada is very, very well coached. They just don't have the talent to keep up. But like Louisville played really, really well as a team, which is what old teams tend to do. They brought in a lot of transfers. A lot of them are juniors or seniors. I think Louisville's going to be much better right out of the gate than people expect. They play Tennessee week 1. So, I mean, they've got a statement game right out of the gate. If they pull that off, then they'll be in the AB top 25 week 2.
Me personally, I think the jury for me is still out on them just because, like, I'm trying to visualize the roster in my head on, like, who starts where. And what I've come up with is Hepburn at the 1.
Chucky Hepburn. Yeah.
At the 1. Then you would probably have either Javon Headley or Edwards 2 or 3, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Terrence Edwards is he's gonna start.
And then it's Kason Proctor at probably the 4.
Okay, yeah, Kason Pryor.
Kason Pryor at the 4. And then, like, does Noah Waterman get started at the 5? Does James Scott get started at the 5? The 5 spot is really where the big hole is in this roster for me.
Here's what I think is the lineup's gonna be. You have to play Chucky Hepburn at the point guard.
Yeah.
He's the best true point guard on the team. Terrence Edwards, he has to start. He's gonna start. I think they're also going to start Abubakar Traore.
I could see it. The Long Beach State recruit.
Guy who helped will Long Beach State to the NCAA tournament. And then I think they're going to start Kason Pryor, James Scott. That's who I think the starting lineup is going to be for Louisville.
I think that 5 hole is a big issue for Louisville coming up.
I don't think so.
I think they could get bullied down low, and there's no response to it.
Potentially, but they could also could get a mismatch on the other end of the floor.
They could.
Like if they want to put Kason Pryor at the 5, which is a very distinct possibility, a guy that can bully him on one end is going to be helpless defending him on the other, because Kason Pryor is the guy who's 6'10", who has handles. I think he's going to be a matchup nightmare.
I understand that. I just wonder, like, defensively, how the interior defense is going to look, because it is really just like that front court defensively doesn't look very strong.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think Abubakar Traore is going to be a really good defender the front court. I think he's going to play at the 4 a lot.
Ken Palm has them projected 73rd in adjusted defense preseason and 63rd in adjusted offense. So right there, that is not a tournament team.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Absolutely.
Louisville has probably the toughest schedule in the country. Do you know that? I mean, their schedule is insane.
Oh, they don't give strength to schedule.
Yeah, Louisville has easily one of the toughest schedules in the entire country. They play Tennessee week 1. They're a preseason ranked team. They play Indiana. They're a ranked team. After that, they're going to have to play either Gonzaga or West Virginia because it's part of a tournament. And then after that, if they win one of those 2 games, they're going to play another tournament team. Then they play Duke in December. They play Ole Miss in December, Kentucky in December, North Carolina, Clemson, Pitt, SMU with Andy Enfield. We'll see how that is. Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, who a lot of people are really, really high on Georgia Tech this year. Yeah. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know why. Miami, NC State coming off a Final Four run. We'll see how good they are. And then Pitt again. So that's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it is.
That is a very tough schedule. They kind of lucked out a little bit, only having to play Duke and North Carolina once. But my God, that's not an easy schedule by any stretch of the imagination. And so,
all right, who's the best non-power school? Because I have my pick. I ranked them. Well, let me put a caveat there, excluding Gonzaga.
Yeah, okay, I was about to say Gonzaga.
I was about to say excluding Gonzaga.
Best non-power school? I mean, Xavier's up there. I'm really high on...
Oh, Big East counts. Come on.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Forgot. I'm pretty high on McNeese State.
Interesting. Yeah, they should be very good.
They got Quadir Copeland, who I think is very good. Also, Will Wade is a great coach.
He is a
They're
good
going to have
coach.
a gaudy record this year. But, yeah. Who do you got? Is it St.
I
Mary's?
have New Mexico. I think Donovan Dent is going to have a breakout year.
Huh.
I think he's going to be a stellar guard play for them. I think it's between them and Boise State for the Mountain West because they are returning Omar Stanley as well as Tyson Disgentard is how you say his name? I'm not exactly sure. But Mountain West.
I'm looking for the Southland. I wanted to see. I'll go
27.
27 Southland. There we go. No, keep going.
No, but I really am liking this New Mexico roster, and I'm interested to see what they can do this year.
So, Boise State is who is projected to win the Mountain West this year.
It's between them and New Mexico. I think
Yeah.
New Mexico could do
Well,
it, though.
Boise State got the vast majority of the votes in the preseason poll for the
They
Mountain
just
West,
retained more they retained their two best players.
and they were a tournament team last year.
They were.
So, I don't know. Look out for Boise State. We'll see how good the Mountain West is again. It seems like they lost a lot this
They
year.
did lose a lot. But
The days of
I forgot New Mexico was coached by Richard Pitino.
sure are. Yeah, the days of the dominance by San Diego State might have passed, but we'll see. All right, with that, we have our final segment of the show, which is the pick'ems. We do it every week, so let's jump right into the
let's
pick'ems.
do it.
First game, which is a Thursday night game, I believe.
Ooh,
We have Syracuse versus Pitt.
where's this at?
This is at Pitt.
Give me Pitt.
I'm going to take Pitt as well. I think both teams are coming off a bye week. At Pitt, I think they're going to get it done. I think they're going to get a big win, and they're going to stay undefeated. They're going to be 7-0 at this point if they get this win. All right, Boise State at UNLV. This is a Friday night game.
Ooh, there's a train coming, and I hope Ashton Genty gets to be seen on national television for once. Give me Boise State.
I think I'm going to take UNLV.
I'm not surprised by it, but I'm still going to ride on the hype.
Yeah, the Rebels, the Rebs. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska versus Ohio State. This is a matchup of two teams that have good records.
They do.
Uh,
Based off of last week, I would say I'm picking the Buckeyes.
yeah, me too.
There you go.
You couldn't force me to pick Nebraska. Maybe at gunpoint. I don't know. I'm not that. I don't care that much. But anyway,
Okay.
we have Notre Dame versus Navy. This is not at Navy. This is at MetLife Stadium,
So New York.
New Jersey. But yeah,
Give me Notre Dame, but I think it'll be close.
I'm going to take Notre Dame as well. I agree with you. I think it's going to be definitely closer than these matchups have been in the past.
Oh, that's a given. I would hope so.
Yeah.
But I would think Notre Dame by like 12.
Yeah, I think last year they played this game in Dublin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame is just doing anything that they possibly can to not go to Navy.
They're trying to grow that brand.
Yeah, but next up we have Illinois versus Oregon. This is a fun one.
Where is this at?
This is at Oregon.
Give me Oregon.
Yeah, me too. I'm taking Oregon, but it'll be if Illinois pulls off this upset. Oh man, they are cooking.
It would be a hell of an upset.
It would be a great upset, but they
Yeah, it
would
would.
be a cooking.
Yeah, they would be.
All right.
Them and Indiana.
Yep. Next up, we have Missouri versus Alabama. Two teams that did not look good last week. One of them fell.
Yeah, give me Alabama, though. Because, like, Missouri isn't that great.
I'm going to take out. I don't think we picked against each other once. I'm taking Alabama.
Yeah, we did Boise and UNLV.
yeah.
That's the difference.
I'm taking Alabama. It's at Alabama. Yeah, Missouri didn't look great. They haven't looked great all year. And I think Alabama's going to bounce back. Texas versus Vandy. This is at Vandy. Vandy's 4-0 at home.
True. Vandy is 4-0 at home.
I mean, can Diego do it?
Diego doesn't do it. Give me Texas. Hook 'em.
Give me Vandy. Why not?
I thought about
Anchor down.
it. I did think about it.
Anchor
which is
down,
interesting.
man. All right. Penn State versus Wisconsin. This is at Wisconsin. Wisconsin benched Tyler Van Dyke, and
Yeah.
they have looked better since doing so.
as they should have never transferred him from Miami.
He has physical gifts.
Yeah, I would love to be 6'4" too. Like, what?
I was just saying, like, he's got not everyone who's 6'4" is like a strong arm. He's got a strong arm. He's fast. Anyway, I had to take Penn State here.
Yeah, Penn State.
All right. We're not really picking against each other all that much.
No.
LSU, Texas A&M. This is
it at A&M?
It is at A&M.
Give me A&M.
This thing is, I don't like either of these teams that much. I really don't.
Both have played well, though.
Both have won.
Both have played well enough to win.
Yeah, but if your schedule's not that good, I don't think.
LSU beat Ole Miss.
I'm starting to think Ole Miss is not that good.
Yeah, well,
Ole Miss is like, what, 4-2?
Yeah.
That's not a great record.
LSU, I believe, is like ranked 8th in the nation or something like that.
Okay, but it's humans voting on it.
Yeah, true. It's not computers, thank goodness. We haven't hit that digital age yet.
Anyway, I'm going to take LSU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to do that, and then people got upset that the computer was spitting out ratings?
Well, yeah, because it was really bad.
See?
I'm just saying that it's a human ranking. Just because you can't point it and be like, oh, they're number 8 in the country. And it's like, okay, a bunch of people from the South voted Louisiana State the 8th best team in the country. Okay.
You're on your villain arc this episode, aren't you?
I'm not. It's just, it's what it is. The SEC gets a bump every year. I think LSU is way overrated. I think Texas A&M is way overrated. I said that about Oklahoma, and guess what? They're 4-3 right now.
Okay.
I just think that LSU and Texas A&M's schedules suck too much. I think they're going to end up with really good records just because their schedules suck. I'm taking LSU. SMU versus Duke. These are two teams that only have one loss on the year.
That is true, but SMU's played a lot tougher competition, and I'm on the Pony Express for this one, even though it's at Duke.
Yeah, SMU has looked good.
Yeah.
Ever since switching to Kevin Jennings, they have looked really good. I'm going to take SMU. Pony Express. Keep rolling. And then I guess just because we're ending with this, I guess it's our game of the week.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah, we've got Cincinnati versus Colorado. This is two, I think, 5-2 teams.
Oh, okay.
Colorado's 5-2. They haven't won 5 games since 2019.
Well, there they go.
Yeah.
They're on the up and up.
One more game. That gives them bowl eligibility.
Yeah. Give me Colorado. This one isn't going to be close.
I'm going to take Colorado as well. We only had 2
you picked
games.
LSU?
I picked LSU and I picked UNLV.
And I picked Boise State and I picked A&M. All right.
That's it. That's our show. Those are our pick'ems.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you see you next time. Bye-bye.